Hi guys, and welcome to Rathwulven Bushcraft. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This is episode number 2 of a mini-series on affordable yet awesome bushcraft knives. And if you haven't seen the first episode, just click on the grey information box right up there. It will lead you to the first video. And I would say without any further ado, let's have a look at today's knife that we're going to discuss. And this is going to be this tiny fella here, an Opinel pocket knife. And you probably have seen these knives around, right? They are classics, and not only because of their history. Just about that first, this knife has been designed and released in 1890 by Joseph Opinel. So it has been around for more than 120 years, and it has withstood the course of time. And of course, up until today, it remains popular because of its simplicity and its very great quality for such a little budget knife. Joseph Opinel has created this knife against the will of his father, because his father didn't believe in its design. And after it has been released, basically for farmers and people working in their gardens and outdoors, it became so incredibly popular that it kind of like made its way into every field of life. This knife is used by fishermen, by hikers, by people that just go on camping trips. It's used by people that are doing whittling or carving work for profession, and also for food preparation. It's just perfect. So it makes an ideal companion for any bushcrafter that is doing anything from woodworking up to fishing or hunting, you know, if you need to gut something. And this is all due to this very simple but awesome design. And let me just explain to you something about the geometry and about the handle and such. Well, first of all, about the blade. We do have a so-called clip point design here. That means that we have a tiny curve in here that leads into a very, very pointy end, if you can see this. And that just makes it really ideal for gutting fish, for example. I always use this if I have to, you know, slice a fish like this and just gut that. Or also for removing scales, it just works perfectly fine. Also due to the 90-degree angle on the back of the knife, on the spine. If you can hear this, you know it's ideal for scratching. Also works nice for fire steel. Then about the blade as such also, it has a convex type of design, so it's getting a little more pointy towards the edge. And it does have a micro bevel. It's not a convex blade, but it's actually like a plain edge, flat grind type of blade. But it's easy to maintain because a couple of strokes on your stone and you got it sharpened again. So very handy for beginners. The blades can be bought both as a carbon steel version, like this one right here, or a stainless steel inox version. And I would just recommend the inox to beginners. You know, if you're not experienced with maintaining your knife, this is the easiest way to go. But if you just want to experiment a little, just go for the carbon steel. It needs a little more attention, but both are just working perfectly fine, right? Then about this locking mechanism right here. You can see this ring to put the blade in place. Now it's locked inside the handle, for example. If we open it up, we can lock it like this so it doesn't snap. And this locking mechanism is called the so-called Viro block, if I pronounce it right. And it's an ingenious design because you got a tiny little pin right here that is connecting the blade to the wooden handle. And if you remove the ring, you can also just remove the pin and then maintain your blade separately from your handle. You can wax or oil your handle if you need to. So if it comes to maintenance, it's a really good knife and it's easy to do. Everybody can do it, right? It's also really safe because, again, if we lock this into place, as you can see, I can put a lot of pressure on there. Nothing really happens. That's, for example, better than a Victorinox knife, right? And then about the handle, we do just have a round design all the way around. There's no grooves, no kind of, you know, finger, to say like sparings in the material so that you can get some kind of ergonomic grip there. And there's a pretty simple reason for that, because this knife needs to be suitable for right-handed people as well as left-handed people. And just picture that, you know, if you got this in your sheath right here, and you're a right-handed person, no problem, just fits perfectly. But if you're left-handed and you pull it out like this, weird way to hold it, right? Or if you go in from the other side, also really weird, because you always kind of got the blade in this kind of reverse grip. So I really like this about the design. There's a lot of left-handed people out there that are looking for proper knives and they just can't find any unless they spend a lot of money. So Opinel is your go-to knife in my personal opinion. Well, what else can be said about the knife? Well, there's people complaining about opening that knife because of yeah, that tiny grove here being very close to the handle. But let me show you a trick. My French is not the best, I hope I pronounce it right, but this is called the coup de Savoyard, right? Yeah, coup de Savoyard. And what it means is the strike of Savoyard. You do it like this. See? This is how you open it. Let me show you again. You use this tiny pommel kind of thing. Then the blade comes out. And then you open it. So if you're in a bar or so, you just want to impress somebody and just act a little smart guy, like, you know, just tell the story. Anyway, well, about the knife, it does also come in a variety of sizes. So it starts with a number 2 and goes up to a number 12 Opinel. And I will give you the exact measures in the subtitles here. But basically you can choose a knife that fits your hand perfectly. In my case, I have a number 8 because I just got very thin hands, long and thin hands. So for me that size is awesome. But if it wouldn't work for you because you got a very broad palm, for example, you could go for number 10. And you can just play around with this, you know, it's just perfect. And yeah, if you want to see what the knife is capable of doing, let's just do a couple of practical demonstrations, right? For example, here in this video, we see how I'm trying to remove a bit of bark. For example, in order to make a bark container, right? You basically just cut a bit of dead bark and then you can really get into this material, and this is all because of that blade geometry, you know, it's really stabbing in there and then you can lift it up properly. Really cool thing to do. Alright, let's say for example that you want to create a bow drill and a base for your bow drill because you want to create a friction fire. Then you might want to use a bit of spruce like this. And as you can see, the knife just does a very nice job when it comes to, you know, biting into the wood also and shaving, because it's so narrow in its blade design, but at the same time razor sharp. So as you can see, like, you can really work nicely here. Of course this wood is wet because it rained today, but it gets the job done, right? And then let's say for example you want to carve a tiny notch in there, you know, so that you can put your spindle in. You just hold it like this. And what's really interesting about this is you don't have any kind of problems if you do this for a longer period of time, because the entire handle is round, so you can put it in your palm like this. You don't have any kind of pressure points, which is really, really nice. And it's also safe to use because now you got your knife like this. You just go in there, and as you can see, now we can now start working into that material like so. And then of course, you know, see, make a tiny notch like this. If we're working really careful, then, you know, we just have to invest a little bit of time, but that's fine. And in the end you basically can hollow that out right here and then put your spindle in, just like so. See? And then you could start doing that drilling motion and basically get your fire going. Let's assume that we need to work on feather sticks. I'm just doing this with a tiny wet piece of spruce here for demonstrational purposes. If you just take a look, see how fine these curls end up right here, see? Just as an example, very fine curls. If you put in a little time and dedication, you can make really nice feather sticks. But then also if you want to carve a notch, for example, see? Even broke. It's too sharp and the wood is too wet. Let's try again. Let's say you want to do like a very simple notch for a pot hanger or so. See how well that bites into the wood? It's just a really good knife. See? And you can make so many things just with a tiny knife like this. Okay, let's have another demonstration with a piece of wood that is a little more dry. Let's just take this as an example, see here. Really, really thin locks. And if you just put in the time and the dedication, you can make fire sticks that just instantly take a spark. And that just with a tiny knife like this one. So yeah, just to show you also a couple of sizes of the knife. Basically this is a number 7. This is one of the smaller versions. It's one of the first one that I customized just by, you know, doing a bit of carving work and then just putting the handle into a fire to kind of like make it jarred so that it gets this kind of like shadowy effect. Has been around for quite a while. This is also a number 7 with an older locking mechanism. If you take a look at this here, it doesn't have the locking mechanism for when it's closed. It's great that Opinel has improved that. And this is also the carbon steel version that I was talking about. You can also see the old logo right here. And then the one that we just had a look at with the inox stainless steel. Here you can see this locking mechanism again. You close the knife, lock it, you open the knife and lock it again. Very simple thing, gets the job done. And also if you're looking for a neck knife, you know, you can get creative. Make yourself a tiny little sheath like I did. This is just a bit of sisal cordage and a bit of spare scrap leather that I had back home. Nothing fancy, you know, just weave that in. And you got yourself a neck knife, like an EDC type of knife. Looks kind of bushcrafty, you know, can also be customized if you want to. And in the end, what you have to pay is between 8 to 16 euros, depending on the actual size of the knife. I would strongly recommend going to a knife dealer in your area and just try certain types of sizes to see which fits your hand the best. Also a thought about, or basically on everything that's battening related, right? Because I didn't show that yet. Reason is pretty simple. Of course, these knives are not primarily made for battening, but I do think that a knife, you know, needs to do a lot more things than just battening, and that's like a common misconception in my opinion in the bushcraft world, you know, that we always look at sturdiness and heavy duty type of jobs. Because just, you know, if you think logically, and if you're carrying a hatchet or a tomahawk or whatever kind of heavier gear to chop down wood, do you then really need a bigger knife? Like, I usually don't use bigger knives. I do have a Falcon-Even F1 at home, and I do use this only if I only carry the knife. If I do have my hatchet with me, it will barely be used, and I use the more, like the smaller and the more filigrane type of knives, right? So maybe that's worth a thought. Anyway, I can recommend these knives, like if you really want to go for something that's cheap, but at the same time also comes with quality, comes with a decent warranty, because as I said before, it has a lifelong warranty. You could just go and buy yourself an Opinel. Millions of people have done that before. Millions of people are happy with these knives, and you don't do anything wrong by having just one of these. So yeah, I hope you liked this episode. There's more coming up. I will try to do more filming in the future, but I hope that I will also be able to introduce a couple of more heavy-duty type of knives to you. And up until then, you know, if you got any kind of remark or any kind of question, or you want to add something to the video content as such, just leave a comment below. And I would gladly appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel too, if you hit the notification button, and if you stay around for the upcoming episodes, because I'm doing this for you guys, and I'm really thankful for every follower or every subscriber that decides to stay with the channel and just have a look at my videos and maybe can take something from that. So yeah, I would wrap it up from here. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you have a great time outdoors, and see you next time. Bye bye.